one of my videos, I compared Russian Orthodox bishops to the mafia. Maybe it's an exaggeration, but the amount of power, political influence, financial streams, and not in the least intrigues, allows for such a comparison. To give you a practical example, today I'm going to talk about one of the brightest bishops of the Russian Church, who rose to the peak of church power, but recently fell from grace and lost his positions and privileges. Until recently, Metropolitan Hilarion was the most important church diplomat, taking over as the head of the Department of Foreign Relations, one of the most important positions in the church, directly from then Metropolitan Kirill, after he was elected Patriarch. Hilarion held this position for 13 years, after which his career started to decline through a series of scandals. However, the influence, power, valuable connections that he accumulated, and allegedly much inside information that he possesses allowed him to comfortably retire outside of Russia. Metropolitan Hilarion was born Grigory Alfeev in 1966 in Moscow. Son of a physicist and a writer, he was raised by his mother, and according to his memoirs, he came to faith after her conversion. Before actively engaging in church life, Grigory pursued a career in music, graduating from a musical school and conservatory. In 1984, he was drafted into the army and served a military orchestra for 2 years. Grigory started his church life as a teenager. He became a personal deacon to a very influential Metropolitan Pitirim, and also worked at the publishing department of the Moscow Patriarchate under the Metropolitan. In 1987, after the army, Grigory entered the monastery in Vilnius, then Soviet Lithuania, as a novice. He was promptly tonsured a monk and ordained a deacon and a priest within days, as it is common for many future bishops under the protection of an influential church figure. After serving as a parish priest in Lithuania, Hieromonk Hilarion graduated from the Moscow Spiritual Seminary and Academy through distance learning. In 1993, he received a scholarship to Oxford University, where he received a PhD in philosophy. During his studies, he was introduced to the Surosh Eparchy in London and Metropolitan Antony, one of the most influential Orthodox preachers of the 20th century. See a video about him on my channel. After earning his PhD in 1995, Father Hilarion started his career at the Department of Foreign Relations under Metropolitan and future Patriarch Kirill. Kirill headed the department from 1989 to 2009 until being elected as a Patriarch, and was considered one of the most powerful bishops in the church after the Patriarch himself. Hilarion combined this work with teaching in seminaries. His prominence and popularity grew with his multiple appearances on TV, publishing books, writing and performing music as an orchestra conductor, and active public outreach. In 2002, he was ordained an archimandrite and, within a week, a bishop by Metropolitan Kirill, to be sent to the Surosh Eparchy in London. There he got engaged in the first significant scandal in his biography. As a vicar bishop to Antony, Hilarion only spent half a year there, representing the strong hand of Moscow and the powerful Metropolitan Kirill. In a very authentic, homegrown eparchy, Hilarion was met with suspicion and sometimes open hostility. Metropolitan Antony led the eparchy for 50 years by then. He was born and spent his whole life outside of Russia, and the Surosh Eparchy under his leadership enjoyed a great deal of spiritual freedom and autonomy. After exchanging open letters, the two bishops parted ways, and Hilarion was removed. However, Hilarion's international experience and connections only helped his further career, and he became a representative of the Church in different international organizations in Brussels. Later on, he was appointed a bishop of Austria and Hungary. In December 2008, Patriarch Alexei II died, and in the early 2009, the local council of the Russian Orthodox Church elected Kirill, Hilarion's boss, a patriarch. To no surprise, the second most important church diplomat became the first, and Hilarion was appointed the head of the Department of Foreign Relations. According to this high status, he was soon ordained an archbishop and within less than a year, a metropolitan. During his 13-year tenure, Metropolitan Hilarion's influence and power skyrocketed. He became a member and head of multiple councils and commissions on relations between the church, state, and society. As a lead church diplomat, he actively engaged in international dialogue with state and religious leaders around the globe. In 2016, Hilarion co-organized the meeting of Patriarch Kirill and Pope Francis. Apart from his diplomatic and clerical work, he actively published, taught in educational institutions, and engaged with mass media. As one of the church leaders, he was engaged with the highest echelons of political power. After the war in Ukraine began, Metropolitan Hilarion still represented the church and the patriarch, loyal to Putin worldwide. He participated in the online meeting of Patriarch Kirill with Pope Francis, where the Pope called Kirill Putin's altar boy. Soon after, however, Metropolitan Hilarion was removed from most of his positions, primarily from the Department of Foreign Relations, and was sent to the eparchy in Budapest, the Russian Orthodox Church diocese in a Catholic-majority European country. The Hungarian eparchy is quite small, provincial, and insignificant. Hence, this demotion was considered a fall from grace. There were several reasons that were considered by different experts and commentators. Some suggested that the reason could be the promotion of the young Metropolitan Antoni Sivriuk, rumored to have some special relationships with Patriarch. Some even say he could be Kirill's illegitimate son. He made a stellar career in the church, becoming a metropolitan, the bishop ranking second only to a patriarch at the age of 34, and becoming the most important church diplomat before the age of 40. This might explain the new head of the department, but not the demotion of Metropolitan Hilarion. Some say he was actually against the war with Ukraine, and although he was never vocally expressed his views, he could have said something privately to the wrong people. As we will see further, Metropolitan Hilarion has a loose tongue that lets him down sometimes. The third reason that many believe is the most probable one is his financial affairs. One of the most important networkers in the church, Metropolitan Hilarion allegedly actively controlled certain financial streams within the church, not only without the patriarch's approval or green light, but apparently without him even being aware. The inside sources all claim that this is the worst sin within the church, and the patriarch has zero tolerance towards anyone transgressing this unwritten rule. The patriarch must control all significant financial decisions and relationships within the church. As usual, the real reason for Metropolitan Hilarion's demotion has never been officially stated, and it could be as well a combination of all the ones I've listed. However, we will further see why this last one is the most likely reason for Metropolitan Hilarion's misfortunes. Hilarion's tenure on the Hungarian cathedra has become the most scandalous of this whole church career. After 2 years of Hilarion's leadership in Budapest, his former personal assistant, Georgi Suzuki, leaked to the media a huge pile of compromising material on the Metropolitan. According to Novaya Gazeta Europe, the then 18-year-old Suzuki offered himself as an assistant to Metropolitan Hilarion in an email. Hilarion agreed, and Suzuki, half Russian, half Japanese, arrived from Japan in Budapest. This story is already quite suspicious, because nobody thinks that contacting a figure such as a Russian Orthodox Metropolitan and becoming his closest assistant is that easy, if possible at all, without someone's protection. Anyways, Suzuki served Hilarion for 2 years, but in 2024 he allegedly took Hilarion's luxury watch and 30,000 euros and left Hungary. Later on, he would claim that he took it for his personal safety, in order to be able to leave the country, and returned everything by post. Hilarion, however, reported the theft, and Suzuki became a fugitive in Hungary. Suzuki contacted the press and shared a huge archive of photos, video and audio recordings, and supported it with his own commentary. According to him, he became disillusioned with Metropolitan Hilarion after he tried to sexually harass Suzuki several times, for example by lying next to him in bed undressed. In his leaked material, Suzuki not only shows the video of such an episode, but also shared numerous audio recordings that he secretly made during the private conversations of Hilarion. The Metropolitan shared in great detail how he and other church leaders attract big businesses to support the church and himself personally. He explained how envious the Patriarch is about any financial affairs outside of his control, and the exact ways he exercises this control. Apart from that, Suzuki shared pictures of Metropolitan Hilarion's luxury lifestyle and documents proving his ownership of super expensive mansions around Europe. One of the pictures shows Hilarion's brand new Hungarian passport. According to the dates, he was granted citizenship within weeks after arriving in Budapest, which testifies to the connections on the highest levels of power. The European passport also gives him the right to travel and reside within Europe without much concern for visa restrictions and sanctions. Metropolitan Hilarion fiercely rejected all accusations, claiming a smear campaign against him and doctored evidence. Even the BBC in a recent interview portrayed him as a persecuted opponent of Patriarch Kirill, conveniently going around his personal affairs and accusations of sexual harassment. The Patriarch, however, was not going to tolerate either the scandal or especially Metropolitan Hilarion's big mouth. Hilarion was removed from the Hungarian cathedra and called to Moscow for the investigation. A special commission was formed, which consisted of 4 bishops, all significantly younger than Hilarion, and one of them, the already mentioned Metropolitan Antoni, his alleged personal enemy. Despite all expectations, however, Metropolitan Hilarion was neither defrocked nor suspended in ministry, which has been the case in other such cases. He was retired and sent to the parish in Karlovy Vary, Czech Republic. This relatively soft punishment has sparked rumors about the amount of compromising materials and insider information about the internal affairs of the church, and possibly even of the Patriarch himself, that Metropolitan Hilarion possesses. Allegedly, he leveraged these materials to negotiate his comfortable retirement in the quiet European eparchy outside of Russia, where he can still enjoy the luxury lifestyle and have access to his European properties. The successor to Metropolitan Hilarion, Metropolitan Nestor, and another alleged holder of a European passport, was just removed from his positions. The formal reason claimed by experts is his career as a professional player of poker. Metropolitan Hilarion's church career might be over, although at 59 he is young enough to have 15 or 20 more years in active ministry if he is ever restored. This is not likely to happen anytime soon, at least until Patriarch Kirill is in power, because of the nature of the conversations leaked by Georgi Suzuki. His career, however, is a bright example calling for comparisons of Russian Orthodox bishops with mafia, secular political power, or similar institutions accumulating wealth and influence. We do not know what Metropolitan Hilarion thinks and believes deep in his heart, and whether his Orthodox faith is sincere. Orthodox bishops are not infallible according to the church canons, and they can certainly sin. However, the fact that an Orthodox bishop, a tonsured monk and ordained cleric lives a luxury lifestyle and exposes enormous streams of money and assets within the church, and especially the fact that it surprises practically no one, is quite telling. Please like the video, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you all next time.